Welcome to the Greater Than Business podcast, where it's all about creating an amazingly successful business without sacrificing your quality of life, because life should be greater than business. And now, here is your host, Courtney Bedore.
This is episode 34 of the Greater Than Business podcast, and today we are going to be talking about generating organic traffic to your website. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this. I know this is probably going to be a slightly boring and overwhelming topic for a few of you because, let's face it, traffic and SEO are kind of boring topics. But if you do them right, you will develop amazing habits in your business and you will see great results. So even though this isn't the fanciest topic and it's not one of those that's going to, boost my podcast ratings like crazy, it is one of those topics and conversations that we definitely need to have. So I've gone through and thought of 8 tips that I wish I had have known back when I started with my website, and things I've learned along the way, and just basically general tips that I want you to walk away with. So I'm going to start off and just kind of go through them all and explain why and how I use them. And at the end of this episode, I will, of course, have a way for you to download the list if you go to the show notes, which will be found at greaterthanbusiness.com/034. Everything that I talk about in this episode will be listed there. And at the bottom, you'll be able to opt in and grab my organic traffic resources, which are going to be really fun. So, and I'm saying that with a slight tone of sarcasm, but they're very resourceful. They may not be super, super fun, but regardless, if you are still listening to this episode, then you clearly want some help with organic traffic. So let's dive in. So the first tip that I want to talk about is posting everything to social media, and make sure that every post that you post to social media links back to your website. And the reason why is because social media is where the majority of your people spend their time. Regardless of the site, could be Facebook, might be Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, you name it. Your people are out there, they're following you. And if they don't know where to find the rest of your content and they don't know where to find your website, then you're only doing a disservice to yourself. So anytime you post anything, make sure it links back to your website in some way. And make sure that all of your social media platforms all have links back to your website. That includes personal and your business platforms. So always make sure that there's a way people can find you and get back onto your site. The next thing is, tip number 2, just to keep this structured, is create relevant content and keep it on your site. So this is a big one that I want to talk about because a lot of people will post epic posts on Facebook, and they'll basically take something that could be a blog post and they'll post it on Facebook, and Facebook will get all the traffic, and Facebook will get all the likes, and Facebook will get all the engagement, even though it's your thoughts, your words, and things that you're posting in order to grow your following. But you kind of sort of don't own that content because it's on Facebook or Instagram or insert social media platform here. And by doing that, you are gaining a following, you're getting traction, but the problem is you still kind of don't own that platform. And if you were to wake up tomorrow and Facebook was shut down, highly unlikely, but let's play devil's advocate here, and you wake up tomorrow morning, Facebook shut down, what do? all your content is there. All of your posts are there. Everything you've ever done is on Facebook, and nothing is housed on your site. And that's not going to work out very well for you in the end because you don't own your content. Facebook does. So any videos that you've ever posted or any engagement that is on Facebook is now gone. And that is not a place where you want to be. So create relevant content and make sure that it's always on your site. So you can create it on Facebook, but copy it and put it on your website as well. Why not have two different ways for people to find you? And here's a little bit of a hint too. If you are on Facebook and you're posting, you might not be as searchable as if you were to post it on your own site when it comes to SEO and all of that other stuff, which I'll get into in a little bit. But make sure that whatever you post out there is on your own website. And then further to that, because I know a lot of you are going to email in, which you always do because you catch me if I say things like this. But if you post it on Facebook, and I said that Facebook may go away, a lot of people will write in and say, but it's more likely that my website might crash. So what I say to that is make sure you have your website backed up, and also make sure that you have hard copies of everything that you put out there. So not even necessarily a hard copy, but an additional copy of it, so that if you do post on Facebook and then you change it and you post on your website, and then for whatever reason both of those services go down and you don't have access to previous content that you've put up there, you should have it stored in a third place, such as like a Google Drive. Or for me, I keep it as a hard copy on my desktop in a Word document, as well as on Google Drive. And I also, anything that I ever email, this is a bit of a side note and a bit of a OCD issue that I have, but anything that I ever email out to my list, I have a dummy email account that I've created. I think I actually have it as like record keeping at gmail.com. Something super, super simple like that. And what I've done is I email that email address anytime I want to save something. And I also have every single email that I ever send out to my list goes to that email address. So that even if my Infusionsoft account shuts down and I lose all of those emails, I know that I can go into this recordkeeping at gmail.com. That is not the real email address, by the way. I can't remember it off the top of my head. So please don't email that email address and bombard it because it's not mine. But if you just kind of plan ahead for the worst case scenario, and that's what I've done here. So I always will have backups. Getting on a bit of a tangent there, but I wanted you to know how important it is that if you create content, keep it on your website, because if you don't need to be feeding Facebook's traffic. They have enough of it on their own. They don't need more. So why not use Facebook to boost your own traffic is essentially what I'm trying to say. So make sure that you have your own content on your own site. Post on Facebook, but always link it back to your site. Always link it to that relevant post on your website. Or if you have a video, make sure that don't send people to YouTube to watch your video. Send people to your website to watch your video, which is also on YouTube, but you've embedded it on your website so that your website is getting the traffic. For the gods of Google will then see that people are staying on your website. It's only going to help your SEO. It's only going to help your website in the long run. So keep your content on your site. Same thing goes with a service like Lead Pages, where people will always, it's easy, right? You just go on Lead Pages, you build a page, host your webinar there, put your replay up, but it's not actually on your website. So if you can just take 2 quick seconds and make sure that all of your content is on your own website and all of your hard work is driving people to your website, then that is going to help boost your organic traffic and also boost your ratings in the world of algorithms and all of that fun stuff. So do that, please, 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 please. Tip number 3 is always create consistently. So if you are doing a weekly podcast, then make sure that you podcast weekly. If you commit to putting out a blog post every week, then make sure that you're always doing it. Don't fall off the wagon. Stick with it. Consistently post, consistently create, and that will always help to drive your organic traffic. For me, I believe that algorithms really like consistency. And if you can constantly be producing, then to the algorithms out there like Google, you don't look like a dead website. You look like an alive and vibrant website that is pushing out content that people are paying attention to. That is what I believe the algorithms want to see. Now, by tomorrow, the algorithm's going to change anyways, but that is one of those things that across the board, it's always something that it has never really changed. That if you are producing consistently, they will reward you. So always, always, always come up with a content schedule and stick to it. And make sure that every one of your content pieces always links back to your website and always has an opt-in. If you haven't already got that into your habits, please do that now. Okay, step number 4. This is all about networking. So in order to share your content and get your content out there, the best way to do that is form a circle of like your little network that you can bounce ideas off of people, share your content with them. And the more that you do that and start up these little networks of sharing or networks of like-minded people where you guys can all kind of share each other's content and relevant posts and things like that, it's super beneficial to be able to do that because it's going to help grow your business as well as support your colleagues, as well as develop genuine friendships with people doing the same thing as you. And it's going to allow you to cross promote. So you can promote your best friend Sally's post, and then Sally's going to promote your post, and you'll be able to reach other people. And you're going to drive more organic traffic to your website by doing that. So build networks with people, find people in your space that are doing similar things, and even reach out and just have a conversation with them and see if there's something you can do to help them, if they'll help you, and kind of like pay it forward and work closely with people that are similar to you in business and trying to achieve the same goals. Step number 5, use keywords that will really hit your niche or niche, whichever way you say it. Use keywords. So in your posts, what I want you to do is 2 things. Always make sure that you're writing your post or whatever your content is. Make sure that you are writing it as if you are talking to an actual human being, but also use the language in that post that will really hit those people. So use the words that you know really strike a chord with your ideal client. And then from there, those are going to be the keywords that you want to hit home on. So if it's something like you are starting a business for cat grooming, and you know that the biggest pain point of people that are looking for you is, how do I stop my cat from scratching me when I'm trying to cut their nails? And this is going to go really weird, but for this example, let's say that I am a cat owner and I really hate cutting my cat's claws because she scratches me so bad. And there's certain words that me as a consumer would be using. And when I hit Google and I go to figure out how to better cut my cat's claws, I'm going to type in specific terminology into Google. those are the words that you want to be your keywords, because that is how your ideal client is going to find you. And in order for you to get a better rating, those keywords have to appear in your content multiple times and in specific locations. But you also don't want to make it look like you're trying to target these keywords, because that's going to backfire on you once the person does find you and lands on your page, and then they start reading your post. If they're at all familiar with SEO, they're going to look at it and go, oh, yeah, this post isn't really beneficial at all. It's just a lot of keywords kind of strung together to get me to land on this page. And that's not what you want, because remember, beside every person that you bring into your business, there's a person behind it. Like every single number, you're trying to get organic traffic and you want to get hundreds of views. But a lot of people forget that those hundreds of views are also hundreds of people. And if they land on your website and then start reading stuff that is very keyword heavy and it's fluffy content and doesn't provide any real meaty takeaway home tips, then you've lost them. And they are still people, and they're coming to you, and they found you, and they're looking for help. And you always have to remember to deliver. So as much as I say focus on keywords, what I really want you to do is focus on those keywords that are tied into your niche, and make sure that those are the words that you focus on, but yet the posts that you're actually writing or the content that you're actually producing needs to really be helpful almost before you consider the keywords. So make sure that, yes, you have your keywords placed in the correct spots and you've got them appearing a bunch, but you also need to make sure that it's readable and it's something that is actually genuinely going to be helping your audience. So that's a little bit of a tricky one, but I hope with my random cat claw cutting analogy, you understand what I mean. The next step is step number 6. And this one is something that a lot of people just kind of gloss over and forget the importance of it. But that is, always make sure that you fill out your metadata for each post or piece of content that you put on your website. So what metadata is, it's basically what you see when you share your content and other ways of searching and getting your site found is all found within the metadata. So usually anytime you ever post on like a WordPress site, there should be a way for you to see the metadata for the page. Usually it's sometimes called a snippet, but you should have a plugin on WordPress somewhere where you can edit your metadata. And this goes across the board on your website. So there's metadata in pretty much everything, but metadata, the main things that I want you to think of are when you post an image, make sure that that image isn't just called Untitled Image 002, because that's not going to help. If that image is of your computer and you are trying to sell a computer, then you want to make sure that your metadata for that image and the name of that image says computer 5.0 something or other, like something related to the image itself, and something that also is related to whichever post or piece of content you have that on. Because when someone starts Googling you, it's the metadata that's going to sometimes bring up more results, and especially images and posts, and when they're shared on Facebook too. So I've seen a lot of people that will just go grab a link off a website of someone else's website and try and share it. And when they do, they copy paste the link and it pops up, and sometimes it'll give that little blurb of like what to expect in this post. And sometimes it has absolutely nothing to do with the actual content that the person is sharing. So you really want to make sure that you fill out your metadata and never forget about it. And if you don't know what metadata is, look it up. And it's really hard to explain, especially when I don't have like a visual way of explaining, but look up what metadata is and never forget to fill it out. Never forget how important it is for SEO purposes and for bringing organic traffic back to your site. Number 7, as I've mentioned a couple times in the last couple episodes, always encourage sharing. So any post that you put on your website, make sure that you have social sharing buttons on it. Make sure that they actually work. Make sure that if you have the ability to have social sharing buttons on your post, some of them will allow you to actually curate the post that the person shares. So if they click share this to Twitter, sometimes you can already have a tweet written that's perfect for sharing the content, and then all they have to do is just hit send. So if you can hook up things like that, make it super, super easy to share, and even just ask people at the bottom of your post, if you found this helpful, please share. If you know someone that could benefit from this information as well, share it with your friends. Like, just ask them to share. That is a huge way of building up your organic traffic, because you don't have to do anything. You're just basically asking your reader if they liked it to share it with their friends. So if you can, always, always, always encourage sharing. And the last tip number 8, is track your efforts. So this is something that has to be set up before you start really trying to get organic traffic onto your website. But you want to set something up like Google Analytics so that you can track the visitors to your website, and that you can actually see that, hey, wait, that last Thursday I shared that post and I got 5,000 extra views to my website. Then you'll be able to see that through Google Analytics, and then that's when you can start testing and tweaking with what's right for your specific audience and your specific website. And then from there, you can adjust and adapt and make it right for you. And you can optimize your organic traffic by doing that. So make sure that you put tracking pixels where they need to be, and that really look into Google Analytics and make sure that you are tracking your efforts. Also, make sure that if you are really starting to take organic traffic seriously, make sure that you document where you started, what actions you took, and where you finished. So what I mean by that is, if you created a blog post and you started with 0 views, and then you went really, really hardcore and you were trying to get a lot of eyes on this blog post. So you shared it across a bunch of different platforms and you did a whole lot of groundwork behind the scenes in order to get your post seen. And let's say you did end up getting 5,000 views on that blog post in the last week. Then obviously whatever you were doing is working, so keep doing it. And you can rinse and repeat that strategy for each time you come up with a new blog post. And then you should always have consistent organic traffic coming into your website. So always make sure that you're tracking, because let's say on the flip side of that, that you posted a new blog post, you shared it everywhere you could possibly think of, and you had 5 views. Well, then obviously something's not quite right. What did you miss? What step did you forget? Or maybe the spots that you were posting aren't where your ideal clients are hanging out. So you might have to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure that out. Figure out who your people are, where they hang out, what they're doing, and why they weren't getting on your website in the first place. So those would be my main tips for how to generate organic traffic. As always, if you have any questions at all, you can email me at flow@flowautomationinc.com, and I will get back to you, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you have regarding organic traffic. I know that it is a very heavy topic, and I know that Sometimes there are no right answers for each unique situation for organic traffic, which is why I always say use what I tell you, but then perfect it to your own business. So that comes as part of the tracking your efforts, is what I tell you might work for me, but it might not work for you. So if you can take the general strategy that I talked about in this episode and apply it, but then there's always room to tweak it and perfect it so that it works even better for your business. So I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. You can find links to everything that I talked about in our show notes, which you can find at greaterthanbusiness.com/034. Now, next week, I am going to be back again, and I'm going to be talking about a topic that is so much fun and something I absolutely love, and it is membership sites. So you don't want to miss this. It's going to be so much fun, and I'm going to talk about when you should create a membership site. So at what stage of your business is it ideal to start a membership site? So I'm going to kind of go over a couple things that I've seen throughout the industry over the last couple of years and some huge takeaways that I've learned and what I've seen and all of that other fun stuff. So before I start giving away all of next week's episode hints and tips and tricks, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thanks for listening to the Greater Than Business podcast at www.greaterthanbusiness.com.